What is up, beautiful people? It's Wolfbrother Mythos from the channel Wolfbrother Hobbies, and welcome to tonight's show. I know I kind of got the light in the way and whatnot, uh, and let me know if the sound is okay. It feels like the microphone is super sensitive tonight, but I'm going to go ahead and get started. You can see I've got the light in the way. Like I said, I'm just painting tonight. I really need to get some work done on the painting desk, and I thought, you know what? Let me go ahead and throw the camera on while I get this work in. So yeah, we'll just go ahead and cut to the tabletop. Ka-chow. Pull up the chat here. Charles, I hope you're doing well, my friend. I am well at the moment. I have been super busy with work. I think so. I got called to for an emergency situation to manage security for in California this week, and I was out there for over a week. And I think um, in like a 7 day period, I put in like 88 hours. It was pretty crazy. And as a member of management, yeah, that was all salary work. So I didn't even make any extra money. That's crazy. Mr. Fish, Friday already. Happy freaking Friday. And whoa. Have you gotten your first 11th edition WA in yet, Mr. Fish? I uh, don't know what I'm doing, so I need to seriously take some time to spam some how to play 11th edition videos in the next day or so. But I have my first game of 11th planned for this weekend, so I guess I should get to learning. Tank looks good. Thank you so much. Yep, here is the one in progress, and this one is one that is the big boy that I was working on during the last stream, and I think he's all finished up. Or she. I guess most tanks are she's. We talk about them like cars. So much DACA. And of course, I really like these rusty, grimy tank treads that look like they've been rolling over some stuff. So, and I really think, like it's almost hard when it's work in progress, and it's so shiny to see the camo pattern come out. But after hitting it with the AK interactive ultra matte varnish, I mean, it really stands out so much better. So, anyways, I'm real pleased with that. I didn't get Armageddon, and I have not played it yet, but it looks like quite. I didn't get the Armageddon box either, honestly. I was, there's just too much for me in my current state of finance. Um, but yeah, I'm gonna try and learn on the fly this weekend. Uh, Not with any of the Armageddon stuff, because my friend and I are both playing Imperial Guard this weekend. That's not even remotely on camera, Mythos. Get it together. But yeah, both of us are playing Guard this weekend. It's I feel like I usually tend to start most editions with my wolves, but this time I've been listening to the Commissar Caiaphas Kane books. I'm like 6 or 7 books in at the moment, and just because I'm listening to Imperial Guard books, uh, I'm just in Imperial Guard mood. So it's going to be some guard on guard action, some soldier on soldier. There's a deep cut for whenever Dark Light Dreamer gets to listen in. But I am really interested, and you got to let me know how you're thinking as well about orcs, because orcs are also kind of a low ballistic skill army. Now, granted, you know, orcs are largely a melee faction, so it might not matter as much to them. But I'm interested to hear, with them being a ballistic skill 5 army and cover taking away one from their ballistic skill. So, really, orcs are kind of shooting on 6s most of the time if they have any cover. What are your thoughts about the state of shooting for the orcs? Like, that is one thing I've been kind of worried about with guard, because on most cases we're ballistic skill 4 plus, some things we're ballistic skill 5 plus. And when I'm playing my Space Marines or my Custodes, it doesn't seem like that's going to be as big of a deal, but oh goodness. But yeah, that change to cover just really seems like it's going to be quite impactful for low ballistic skill armies. Almost, and like I was playing around with some of my orc lists. New recruit finally updated like a couple of days ago for the 11th edition points, and so I've been playing around with some 11th edition lists for each of my armies. And man, like I gotta say, the whole changes to ballistic skill and cover really was making me kind of like rethink, taking some of the shooting units. Like, do I still want to take Coptas? Do I still want to take, mech guns? Because I always love bringing mech guns, even though they've been hugely nerfed over the last edition. I really like bringing my mech gun. In fact, I often like bringing 2 mech guns, to be honest. But yeah, knowing that I'm often going to be hitting on 6s because of cover, I'm concerned. Like, should I take any of the orc shooting at all? Because hitting on 6s a large part of the time doesn't sound like it's going to feel good. Am I overreacting? Is orc shooting going to be more than incidental now? You let me know. And like I said, they're a little bit better between orders and the fact that they're innately, in most cases, not everything, but in most cases, ballistic skill 4 instead of 5. Like, guard's in a little bit better spot than that, but not a ton. Gamesburger, how you doing, my friend? I am exhausted. It may not be a super long stream tonight. I was just telling everyone that I got called away, to work a emergency security event in California for over a week, and like this last week, I put in like 88 hours, in just 1 week. And so I am exhausted. Plus, travel. I always feel jet lagged for a couple of days after I get home. So I may not stream super long tonight, but I'm like, I need to make some progress on this Rogal Dorn because I want to turn both of these tanks over to my friend on Sunday. And I'm like, tonight I need to put at least the base down on the tank treads, and that's going to be like an hour of putting silver down. And so if I'm going to be putting silver down for at least a week, I might as well turn on the camera and chat with the fam a little bit. As you can see, my camera and lighting setup looks a little jankier than usual, but you barely missed anything, Darklight. I just started her up. I was running behind. I was telling everybody with working 88 hours this week, I just needed a nap before turning on the stream today. But I was like, yeah, I need to put down the silver on these tank treads, and you can see there's a large amount of tank treads showing on this tank. Of course, we're going to paint the bottom of the treads too, because that's what we do. And I also paint in these little wheel wells and stuff like that so I can weather them up. And I'm like, man, that's going to be like an hour of just putting down silver. So I might as well turn on the camera and chat with everybody. I was telling everyone a reference that likely only you, Cloud, and my lovely lady would probably, catch at this point. But we're playing Imperial Guard on Imperial Guard, a game of 40K this Sunday. And I was like, or, if you want to look at it this way, it'll be a game of soldier on soldier. And I'm like, there's a deep cut for Dark Light whenever he gets on. A throwback, if you will. Did I make it home? Yes. Finally made it home. And man, it was good to sleep in my own bed last night. Even when you have a really comfortable hotel room, just it's never quite the same as sleeping in your own bed. Especially like I like the feeling of having familiar people around. And so just knowing that I've got, the family in the house with me, um, that's that always helps me, sleep better. Knowing the lovely ladies there, the kids are in the next room, and that's always been kind of a thing for me with that sense of family around. Like I think it comes from. Oh, there's a tiny touch of overspill in the silver. We can go back and clean that up with some green. Wait until I'm done with all the tracks, though, because I'm sure it won't be the only thing I'll need to clean up. I'll be damned. Look who it is. I know. I've been working some crazy hours lately and haven't been streaming as much, but I made it home in time this time. And so I was like, we need to stream. Even though I was like super tired, I decided to take an hour nap and then come on and stream this time. Well, why am I using a pointed brush for such wide take tracks? Let's do this a little smarter with those. But yeah, I think that sense of sleeping better whenever families are around, I think that goes back to being younger. I know when I was working, uh, her as a teenager, Darklight and I shared a room, and I always slept better those times that he was staying up late and playing on the computer or one of the gaming consoles, and just hearing him gaming in the background. I don't know, it always helped me sleep a little bit better. Um, and that kind of continues now with my other family. Like now that I have a family of my own, when the girls are home, often my wife stays up a little later than me if she stays up gaming or something like that. Sleep extra hard. In my best Vin Diesel voice, family. That's right. I always sleep the best when the family's around. Oh man, switching to a uh, flat brush for these tank tracks is making this so much faster. What was I even doing before? Right tool for the job, right? I never sleep well when traveling. Yeah, it is tough. I agree. Oops, got to go out. Take care. You take care too as well, Charles. I just realized that was like 10 minutes ago, so you may already be gone, but I'm so glad you dropped by. Thank you so much, Charles. Man, so I got to say, I am currently in security management, right? I haven't been an officer in a long time. And let me tell you, uh, for this emergency coverage bit I was helping managing, there was a lot of times where I was just jumping in and helping out, sometimes when our manpower is stretched thin and stuff like that. And it reminded me that I'm not the young buck I used to be, doing, 12 plus hours, in many cases 15, 16 hours on concrete, and some of these lots and stuff like that. Man, my my joints are not what they used to be. And as much as I like to tell people, yeah, I'm barely 30, uh, my joints disagree. Though I'm glad Wybird's not here. He likes to remind me that I'm older, even though I'm only a year older. a little ironic how we paint these tracks super shiny silver just to go back and really dirty them down so they're very much not silver again. But when they're this bright, they almost look gaudy at first, right? Before we dirty them down. Just very loudly bright silver. I have Iron Warrior silver, which is a little less bright, but when I dirty these things down as heavily as I do with the washes and the pigments and stuff like that, I find that the slightly brighter lead belcher, just even though it seems counterintuitive, works as a better starting point for me. So that way it just doesn't look too dark, like all the colors are running together when I put all the extra dirt and grime on them. Okay, that went so much faster with the flat brush. The machine spirit likes to feel pretty. It's okay to be gaudy for a bit. Gamesburger's been my 40K book club friend lately. Both of us listening to some of the 40K audiobooks. Man, I'm really surprised, which I shouldn't be because the same thing happened with Gaunt's Ghost. I'm kind of surprised how much, like, once I listened to the first Caiaphas Cain book, just like took over and became like, okay, this is the thing I'm doing now. Looks like I have some minor contact with some white or silver paint right here. Just trying to, before I go back and cleaned it up with the green paint, just trying to gently rub away some of the excess. Ashes of the Imperium is 15 hours and 27 minutes. Nice. That is a good long book. Yeah, I've noticed the Caiaphas Cain books seem to be a bit shorter. But I've been enjoying them so much, I don't even mind that, like, it's less hours per credit It's fewer hours per credit, rather. I just really like the personality in those books. But the Horus Heresy books, almost always you're going to get like they're always almost always longer books, so you're going to get value of time per credit for sure. Unless it is a Horus Heresy audio drama, in which case you're going to get a shorter amount of time, like usually a very short amount of time, but there's a lot more production that goes into the audio dramas because they're doing sound effects, they're doing multiple voices. They usually instead of paying one voice actor, they're usually paying for a cast. I had one for the 13th Company where the Space Wolves were landing um, on um, Tiska, the home world of the Thousand Suns for the the assault during the Horus Heresy, and this is where 13th. It's the story where the 13th Company gets lost in the warp as a sacrifice. Yeah. Oh, so it's like double the length of a Horus Heresy book, or most Horus Heresy books. I know this is like the after the heresy, the epilogue. But yeah, I think the audio dramas are only like a couple hours long. Many cases, a little less than half of your average Horus Heresy book, but they can be very good. And definitely during that time, of just the short audio drama, I really came to, get to feel like I knew and enjoyed reading about Bulvi and his 13th Company, which is really cool because that was before I read the Ragnar Blackmane books where you get to meet Bulvi and whatnot, 10,000 years later, which is pretty cool. Definitely Gamesburger. I appreciate that. All right. Homebrew name. And yep, Bat Signal, Homebrew, Roller Coaster. Wolf Sonder was a good one. Okay, cool. All right, guys, we back. Joys of work calls, absolutely. So something here, since there's a bunch of stowage here, I wanted to do a bunch of different textures and colors so everything wasn't too samey. So like my wood color brown is different from this tart brown. This duffel brand brown is more of a sandy brown. Um, this one's just slightly darker than that. And then for the sandbags themselves, I wanted to change up the texture. So that way they wouldn't be the same as the blanket and this duffel bag here that I highlighted up in a more traditional way. This one is all I've used highlighted using some stress lines and some cross hatching and also some stippling to really just give this a really textured, worn out kind of finish. And I've gone back with several layers of color. So I've started with dark, worked my way back up to light, then used some thinned down contrast to get it dark again and worked my way back up to light, and then finished it off with a thin amount of wash. So that way the different layers and stuff like that again can really add to that kind of worn, rugged kind of, texture. And I think that definitely looks more stressed than the neat folds of this tarp here or the traditional highlighting of that duffel bag. So I wanted it all to feel a bit different. Tell work if it's not a tiered invasion, they're hallucinating. Exactly. All right, we're going to take some thinned down Mephisted silver, and we are going to glaze a little bit onto these fuel canisters. While I am at the store tomorrow, I need some more medium. I'm down to the last dregs of my medium here. I use quite a bit of medium because for when I want to thin down the opacity of my paints, but not necessarily the consistency. Want these to pop a little bit, but I don't want the overall effect to be just super bright red canisters because there's not a lot of red in my buddy's army. He likes a lot of the darker kind of colors, hence the camouflage being like a double tone of darker greens. But we just want to do enough to add just a little visual pop to the red. And right there, just going to highlight the handles and on each side this raised corner right under the handle. And then that is it. We'll let the rest of it be that dark red, so it'll add some pop, but visually read as a darker red. And then this little fire extinguisher at the back here will do the same. The top of this curved part. And then one little band at the top of the cylinder just to add a little pop. Which tank is that? This is the Rogal Dorn battle tank. It is the one with a missing underbelly. which we've still gone in and sprayed military green just to give it some color on the inside. But yeah. You know, the fact it is so hollow on the inside, though, does make it kind of, like, for such a big tank, kind of a light tank to handle. I think before I grime up these treads and the tank barrels and whatnot, I think before bed tonight, I'm going to put a satin varnish down so that way I can put on the decals in the morning and then dirty up the decals when I dirty up the tracks too. Just like, see, it's not coming through super clearly, but yeah, so like these decals have, you can see just a slight like warm brownness where I splattered a little bit of the dirt from the tracks and whatnot on them. You know, they're still kind of clean, but they're not as pristine because there's just a little bit of dirt and weathering on them. My friend asked for some light weathering on these, and so we're just keeping it, slightly grimy. The only thing I really wanted to grime up was the way I grimed up the tank tracks, then brought some of it onto the lower skirt of the armor. Um, yeah, not super grimy. I did put some of the extra dirt and bits, on the bottom to show, the tank had been rolling along in the junk. But yeah. So again, I didn't want to do too much since this is for somebody else, but I think just a little bit of weathering goes a long way, even still. And then, since I'm doing so much silver tonight, we'll put this guy away. Here we've got the pulverizer cannon. It's like a miniature demolisher cannon that's only strength 9 that goes on it's the hole mounted weapon for the Dorn. It's an itty bitty stubby cannon. You can see it's got some nicely defined by the Null Oil, but we're going to put some of the grime, a little bit of the grime from the tank tracks on there too before we pop it on. And then I have 2 guardsmen popping out the hatches. One of them, I'm not going to try and attempt to paint tiny details on camera, but one of them does have the heavy stubber here. That'll go on the pintle mount. And so we're just going to go ahead and lay down the silver for that as well. Those are some big projects. Indeed. The shadow sword by itself, takes up most of the camera. Or all the camera. Medium is great for Citadel, which can often be chunky. It's true. Although even my very smooth pro acrylic paints that I love, I find myself using medium then sometimes too when I don't want full opacity. I want to tone down. Why did I just do that? Well, that is okay. We can go back and black I just started applying the silver without thinking that, hey, I intended to leave the case for that black, but that's okay. It is easy enough to paint black over silver. Now, unlike the metal components of the tank, this gun may not get the grime treatment. We might just go with Nuln Oil, because this guardsman's probably kept his weapon well serviced in good working order. Probably kept it free of as so much grime, so that way it doesn't jam on him. So we'll probably just go with Nuln Oil on this one instead of the combination of the other metals on the tanks have gotten the Nuln Oil. And what is it I use for grime? I feel like it's Gargak. It's like a 50-50 mix of Gargak sewer and water with just a touch of flow improver. Man, after painting up these big chunky tanks, these little bitty half guard guardsmen definitely feel so tiny to work with. And I mean, most of them are going to be, most of this is going to be like Army Man green. They wear leather helmets though, so that'll help break up the color a little bit. And I'll probably just to give them some continuity, give them some of the same brown leather gloves and belt, and then paint up a little skin for the face. But yeah, it's going to be very tiny to paint after painting such large surfaces. All right, let's see. Almost an hour in. I think I called it about right. Uh, Doing the metallics took me about an hour. So I will be I will be attempting to play my first game of 11th this weekend, although neither my friend or I have picked up the Armageddon box because, he's a guardsman player, and I just wasn't going to pick up the box in general. So we're both kind of learning the rules on the fly without the book. But I'm going to spam some YouTube videos tomorrow to try and learn for Sunday's game. What kind of goodness you guys got going on this weekend? Any of you getting in some hobby or some gaming? Which I definitely feel like the tank is coming together more now that it's got the tracks, base coded. So I appreciate you guys hanging out with me while I got that taken care of. Plus, after missing the show for what was it, 3 weeks, two of them working and just being out of town and whatnot, and man, it's been good to just chat with you guys tonight. Talk with some like-minded folks about the hobby. Tomorrow, I'm hoping to get in a pre-order for Kaifas Kane. That would be cool. Oh, another little project. A while back, I had 3D printed a whole bunch of small little hunter killer missiles for my Space Marine and Guard vehicles. And of course, I didn't think about that until I had already primed my miniatures or painted them fully in some cases. But I decided to start working on those and like gluing them into place, clipping them and gluing them into place tonight. So, like, here's my Hellhound. Funny enough, this 3D printed Hellhound came with heavy bolters, but I wanted a flamer to match the Hellhound flamer. And so I found in my bits box these flamers from my Castellan robots for my AdMech army. And they just look cooler than the Guard flamethrowers to me anyways. It's really cool. They stick out way more than an Imperial Guard, flamethrower, but it's very cool looking. But yeah, so these 3D printed hunter killer missiles, I'll probably prime them by hand. So I've got 2 of these hellhounds. And then, way back when I first started, or not long after I started my Imperial Guard army, I got me a Malkador, which is now Legends, unfortunately. But I had my buddy Atlas assemble it for me, and I decided to go ahead and stick a Hunter Killer Missile on one of these 3D printed Hunter Killer Missiles on top. So, got that there. So just going around adding some of the Hunter Killer Missiles before my game on Sunday. And then I have a couple of these Sentinels. These are also 3D printed. Most of my Imperial Guard army is third party, but I really like the shape of these 3D printed ones, and I went with these ones specifically because if you look at the body, it really looks like an Imperial. What is it? Is it the AT-ST? That's the two-legged walker. Anyways, it really kind of reminds me of that, especially with these like 2 little vents here. They look kind of like the front-mounted laser blasters on the AT-ST. You know, marching around, shooting Ewoks. Gone with the last cannon and chainsword just because they're cool. And, you know, it always helps to have some extra anti-tank. And I found that if I snip out off the base to these Hunter Killer Missiles, they really kind of fit right on the shoulder here by the tailpipes or the vent pipes or whatever. And so, yeah, I'll probably... Now, because this paint job is already done and varnished, and, you know, I'm happy with that paint job, I really hope I don't mess up the super gluing, you know, and make it look janky. So I need to use just a minimal amount of super glue and a very steady hand. But it'll be kind of neat on the table because I have a very bright and vividly green Imperial Guard color scheme. And then this is kind of a very, you know, much more, you know, a much darker and more utility color scheme for his Imperial Guard. It's going to look really cool across from each other. All right, guys, I know it has been a short show tonight. Like I said, I'm just really tired from my work week, but I wanted to hang out with you guys a little bit for my mental health because, like I said, I've been mostly talking to just coworkers this past week, and that's fine and all, but I need to nerd out about some cool hobby stuff with some like-minded people. So I'm glad I have you guys here to talk some hobby with me. So guys, thanks for coming along. I'm going to call it there for the night, guys. Short stream, I know. If you guys liked tonight's episode, please make sure that you grab up an axe and smash that like button in the name of the Emperor. Drop me some comments down below. Feel free to be part of tonight's ridiculous conversations. And if you guys are not yet subscribed to my friends down below in the Friends of Wolfbrother Hobbies, if you're not subscribed to me, we'd love to have you as part of the pack. So subscribe. Until next time, guys, stay frosty.